This is the Lian Li Strimer Plus V2 kit. It's actually the third generation of RGB PSU cables from Lian Li, with several major improvements over the last version. We're going to take a look at all the new features and differences right after this quick word from today's sponsor. This video is brought to you by whokeys.com. You guys know the drill. You've just finished building your brand new PC, you boot it up and bam, that hideous activate Windows watermark appears. And the worst part is you forgot to budget $200 for an activation key from Microsoft because you spent it all on RGB. But that's okay, because you don't need to spend $200. You can pick one up from today's video sponsor whokeys.com for 1/10 of the price. The best part is you can use my code TT25 for 25% off, which takes this already cheap Windows 10 Pro key from around $22 to $16. You place your order, your activation code gets added to your orders page, you whack it into the Windows activation screen, and boom, you're fully activated, no more watermarks being burned into your retinas. TT25 for 25% off, link in description. So what's changed? Well, each LED cable is slimmer now, which makes them way more flexible. That was something people complained about on the last version. It could be difficult to get them to fit into tight spots. That's not a problem anymore. You can see here that you can easily bend it into any shape you want. And also you don't have this issue of all the cables on the backside bunching up anymore. They put a rubber coating on all of the cables this time, so not only do they stay together, but they're also easier to clean. If you've ever owned white PSU cables, you'll know how dirty they can get. Another thing are the connectors. On the previous version, owners of graphics cards with power connectors that were spaced apart had trouble plugging in these cables because the connectors were fixed in place. To remedy this, Lian Li have split each cable into several parts. You can still keep them all together using the included cable clips if you don't need to split them, but if you do need to, you can. You'll also see there is some side illumination now, so that's kind of nice. You get some extra clips included so you can color match to your build. I always found it strange on the last version that the cable was white and the clips were black, but now you have the option to switch them. Speaking of options, you can get this kit in either a dual or triple 8-pin configuration for the GPU. A lot of GPUs nowadays come with 3 8-pin connectors for power, so it's great that we get that option. I also want to point out that it's now way easier to reverse the orientation of the connectors. It was very time consuming on the V1 to switch everything around if you were planning on using these for a vertically mounted GPU, for example. You'd have to individually take each cable out of the clips, flip everything, line them up, and then press them back in one by one. It really was a painstaking process. Thankfully, they've re-engineered it to be much simpler. All you do now is just pop off the 2 clips, flip the entire cable, and put the clips back on. Setup is also very straightforward. This is the hub to connect everything. You've got a SATA power connector, which you'll hook up to your PSU. Then we have a micro USB to USB header cable. That just goes to a USB header on your motherboard so that you can control the RGB effects via the software. More on that in a minute. Now, depending on whether you got the dual or triple 8-pin cable, you'll need to toggle this switch on the controller. The one on the right is for people who have the dual 8-pin, the one on the left is for the triple. Now, you're pretty much ready to go at this point, although if you do also want motherboard control, you can use the included 3-pin ARGB cable to hook up the controller to your motherboard so that you can use your own RGB software with it. Oh, and for those of you that decide to only buy the GPU kit, they do include another 3-pin ARGB cable so that you can connect it straight up to your motherboard without having to purchase the controller. Speaking of the controller though, you can actually pick it up on its own for like $20, and it's backwards compatible with version 1 of the Strimer Plus kit. So if you're watching this and you currently own version 1 of the Strimer Plus kit but you'd like L-Connect 3 support, it's definitely worth looking into. If you're gonna do that though, I'd probably recommend picking up one of these as well. I might be wrong, but I don't think the controller includes any cables to connect it to your motherboard. Anyway, here's the software. I'm gonna demo the effects. By the way, if you're using any of Lian Li's Unifans, you can sync the effects between your cables and your fans. You just hop over to the Quick Lighting Sync tab and choose your effect. But today we're going to focus on the Strimer Plus V2 cables. Now, I will point out that you can change the color of the 24-pin motherboard and the GPU cable independently of each other, which is definitely nice. Anyway, here's some effects. Enjoy the light show. Now obviously you saw there that you do have the option to change both the brightness, speed and direction of many if not all of the effects, although I would much prefer it if the sliders actually worked like sliders rather than just being in increments of 25%. That's not a lot of choice. And although for the purpose of this demo I stuck to the rainbow color scheme across most of the presets, you can literally customize it however you want. In fact, you can even go as far as to apply one effect to one segment of the strip and a different effect to another. There's 6 individually customizable sections on the 24-pin cable and 4 sections on the 8-pin. So yeah, you'll definitely be able to achieve the effect that you're after, and the software in general is a big improvement over L-Connect 2. Although on a side note, I will mention that I did have some trouble updating the firmware on my AL120 Unifans. It kept getting stuck at 99% for some reason, so I had to go to Lian Li's website to download another tool to basically force an update, and that worked. So a little bit of trouble there, but other than that, I had no other problems. Now obviously, RGB PSU cables are completely unnecessary. They're purely for aesthetic. Some people love them, some people hate them. What do you guys think though? Let us know in the comments. I will say that Lian Li did a great job at listening to their consumers and fixing several of the issues that people had with the previous version. That's actually something that I've noticed Lian Li are really good at doing, listening to what their consumers want. So good job there. If you want to pick them up, we'll have links in the description. Here's an epic PC build time lapse for you to check out. Subscribe if you're new. See you in the next one.